360 Spider. Magical Sound Shower.
Hi, and welcome to The Last Gamer. Let's take a look at Outrun. Hi, we're going to be looking at one of the best arcade races of our time, made by the legendary Yu Suzuki, who brought us such games as Space Harrier, Virtual Fighter, Shenmue, and the legendary Afterburner. And that game is Outrun. When I was setting these games up for the episode, I didn't realise how many Outrun games there actually were out there. Everything from the Sega Master System right up to Xbox and PlayStation. Although technically Virtual Fighter is Yu Suzuki's most impressive achievement, Outrun still remains the closest to his heart. The game is based around a 12-cylinder Ferrari known as the Ferrari Testarossa, released in 1984. The game was released in 1986, yet there wasn't a Ferrari Testarossa convertible as seen in the game. It's registered that the first Ferrari Testarossa convertible was sold in the US in 1987, some 10 months after Outrun was released. Now, despite featuring a Ferrari Testarossa convertible, a lot of controversy surrounds Outrun, mainly Sega being sued several times by companies. Firstly, Ferrari. Using Ferrari successfully sued Sega in 1988. Next was Volkswagen, BMW and Porsche. Why? Because they're the opponents' cars during the game. Apparently it's a low sum of money, but they were successfully sued. After all that said and done, Sega eventually got the rights to Ferrari in 1999 to make the famous F355 challenge. Okay, enough facts and trivia at the moment. We've got all these games to get through, and there's no better place to start than the arcade room where it all started in 1986, the arcade machine Outrun. This is it. The Outrun arcade machine, 1986. I was 13 years old. I walked into the arcade and boy did I fall in love. Just look at the machine. Obviously modelled after a red Ferrari, or the best they could. Let's give it a go. Look at that. Okay, let's get stuck into this game. There's a total of 3 cabinets for Outrun, an upright, a normal 20-inch version that moves, and the deluxe cabinet, the one that I own, which is a 26-inch monitor. I think the thing that grabs me with Outrun is these beautiful beaches. According to Yu Suzuki, the stages in Outrun are mostly based on European scenery. He had toured Europe in order to get an insight of what the level should look like. If you ask me, it looks all American, especially with such names as Devil's Canyon. Just listen to that music. The music was composed by Hiroshi Kawaguchi. He had composed soundtracks for all the other Sega games and was a part of Sega's official band, Sega Sound Team. Outrun was the first video game in history that allowed the user to choose their background music. 3 music tracks were featured in a broadcast through the FM radio of the Ferrari Testarossa. Now, let's look at some of the home ports. Okay, first up we're going to be looking at the Master System version. The Master System version was the second version I owned, the first being the Commodore 64. So we'll power it up. Now the Master System in Japan is also known as the Mark III, and after a few years they actually called it the Master System and put an FM sound module in it. This t-shirt I'm wearing today actually bought at the same time roughly as I had Outrun, so that's why it's quite tight on me. I was only 14 years old. Anyway, let's give it a look. Now the Master System version's quite good. I lived on this game, I'm not going to put it down. Sprites are a bit small and the music's a little bit off key, but come on, it's a Sega Master System. It's an 8-bit compared to two 16-bit chips like its arcade brother. Gameplay is almost identical, and I'd put it under the category it's a cute game. The game's pretty much the same. You've got to get to the end of each level and you'll be presented with a fork in the road. Upon picking your destination, you'll be taken to the next level, but you have to get there before the time runs out. The game is 5 levels deep, consisting of 15 levels all up. Okay, now we're going to be looking at Outrun 3D on the Master System. It's quite revolutionary for its time with these 3D glasses, and it works pretty similar to nowadays 3D glasses. Anyway, let's pop them on and have a look at it. Now Outrun 3D is quite good. You get a decent amount of depth, considering it's only running at 60 Hz, not 120 Hz like nowadays glasses. Sega Master System 3D glasses were quite expensive back in the day, and more so now, due to being a collector item. If you ever find a pair, definitely get it and get Outrun 3D. Well worth it. Okay, now we're going to look at that Commodore 64 version. I've got the disc and the cassette. Both actually come with the original soundtrack of the arcade, so that's pretty cool. On tape, of course. Let's have a look. The Commodore 64 version, the first version I ever got. This version's quite bad with the colours. However, the gameplay is really good. You don't have a fork at the road at the end, but tell you what, it definitely gives you a sense it is Outrun. It's got bad publicity when it came out, but how can you compare an arcade machine to a computer that's even less powerful than a Master System? I don't care what anyone says, I still like this game. What was that? Okay, that woke me up. What a shame. The music sounds quite tacky once you're in the game. Oh well. This is a fairly good conversion. The Amiga is 16-bit, but I think in some areas they've rushed it. The graphics are quite jerky, and I don't like the perspective of the car. You're kind of sitting too low, if you know what I mean. The camera's quite low and you can't see the road ahead. Anyway, it's still a half-decent conversion. PC Engine version's quite good. I quite like it. Think of it. Look how small this machine is. 8-bit, unbelievable game. This gets my thumbs up. Oh, remember when I got this version? I thought finally I've got the arcade at home. Well, it was pretty close. Not exact, but pretty close. Mega Drive version is definitely the most faithful to the arcade at this point in time. I was quite happy with it. I can't say much more about this version. I think we better move on to its bigger brother. This is what I'm talking about. Arcade perfect. This version's phenomenal. Look at it. It's unbelievable. Finally, arcade at home. At last. Can't complain about this version. There is a secret mode to get the 60 frames a second on this version, and that's pretty cool. Okay, that was a Sega Saturn version, almost pixel perfect to the arcade. Speaking of which, let's just go back into the arcade room for a brief moment. Got a bit of a funny story I want to share with you all. When I was 13, I was playing the arcade machine that much at this one place known as Flashback in the centre of Melbourne City, and I noticed this badge right here is kind of half off, and I thought, oh, do I? And I took it. I love the game that much I wanted a piece of memorabilia. Took it home, then kept it in my game collection all this time. When I finally started my arcade collection, when I bought the Outrun machine, it was pretty much perfect, except it was missing one thing. You guessed it, this very badge. Now I don't know if it was the same machine, but whatever it was, it fit in well. Anyway, let's look at some spin-offs from Outrun. Now there's heaps of versions I probably haven't covered. Although I own them, I just can't do this in the review. There's so many to cover in Outrun. So I've looked at the arcade, the Master System. We didn't look at the Game Gear, the handheld one. I'd say it's pretty much identical to the Master System. There might be some touch-ups here and there. Outrun also come out on the Atari ST, the Amstrad, the PC, and the MSX computer. There's also many spin-offs with Outrun. Turbo Outrun, which isn't a true sequel. It also come out on the Fujitsu Mari. Outrun Europa, Outrun 2019, don't get me started on that one. Battle Outrun on the Master System. And then there's this Outrun. They done it to us again. The Sega Ages version of Outrun on PS2. Not as bad as Afterburner, but yes, again, pretty bad. Oh, and I mustn't forget Outrunners. They come out on the arcade and then the Mega Drive. On the Mega Drive version, it's only split screen, which makes it quite hard to play just alone. Outrun's influenced me in many ways. Graphics, sound, music, and Sega of course. But I don't think there's any bigger way than Ferrari itself. In the 80s, I was obsessed with Ferrari, mainly because of Outrun. And I always wanted a Ferrari Testarossa. Who didn't in the 80s? But when Outrun 2 came out, I just couldn't stop looking at that 360 Spider. But I didn't really want the convertible, I wanted the coupe. Lo and behold, got a 360 Modena. Anyway, speaking of which, let's look at Outrun 2. So, in 2003, Sega decided to bring out a new Outrun. And this time, they did things right. This game is awesome. Now you can drift, pick a smorgasbord of cars, have mini games like Heart Attack mode. On the original Xbox Outrun 2, it has hidden tracks from Scud Race and Daytona 2. This is a treat. And that's two games that were never converted to home. Where are they? And another thing with that version, also had the hidden version of the original Outrun in it, and slightly altered graphics due to licensing issues. There's several versions of Outrun 2, SP in the arcade, and on the home conversions it's known as Coast to Coast on the Xbox, PS2 and PC, which consists of 15 new levels. It also came out on the Xbox Live and PSN. Although it's missing a few features, the HD certainly makes up for it.
Not that it does.
Finally, something Outrun's known for is its music. This is a 20th anniversary box set, 11 CDs, of every single music that Outrun's ever known. Funnily enough, one of the songs, called Life as a Bore, which is on Outrun 2, is actually sung by an Australian known as Donna Burke. She's done a few video game musics, but one noted is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Petals of white cover fields flowing and grieving tears. It's magical, he found me. Summer breeze bringing a change of fate. He came by to ask me for a ride with him.
That was Outrun. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.